As you guys know, with Call of Duty, the meta of the game is constantly changing. With every patch and update, weapons change, and the best guns in the game come and go. And that's no different with Black Ops 4 to a certain extent. The weapons like the Maddox, SOG, and Titan are still the GOATs of the game. However, the other weapons in the game have changed quite a bit. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you my top 5 classes in Black Ops 4. And what I mean by that these are my favorite classes to use and the ones that I believe are the best. Of course, Maddox, SOG, and Titan classes are going to be a little bit better than the ones we talk about today, especially this Titan one you're seeing on screen here. Stupidly overpowered. Really hope the Titan gets nerfed, but until then, it's a really good class. These are going to be the classes that I use. These are my go-to classes and the ones that I do the best with. Also, if you guys are here mainly for the story videos and you expected one because it's Friday and I generally do one before the weekend, unfortunately, this week I was putting together the future story videos. I'm planning ones with Savannah, I'm planning one with Frank Woods, and because they don't really have as much story in Black Ops 4, I actually have to do a little bit more research and storyboard the videos a little bit more. So those videos will be coming starting next week. I have a lot planned for that. So if you're here for the story videos, don't worry, there'll be lots more to come, but hopefully you enjoyed this video in the meantime. Now, as always with this kind of video, it does come down to personal opinion. These are my favorite classes and the ones I do the best with. So if you disagree, feel free to let me know what your favorite classes are down in the comments below. And also, if you enjoy the video, maybe it helps you out a little bit, raises your kill death a little bit, I would love it if you could hit that like button. Also, before we dive into the top 5 classes, I just wanted to let you guys know that I am going to be doing a live stream tonight, and it's going to be a special live stream. It's going to be an open lobby where we do custom games. I try to do this every single Friday. We play things like hide and seek, gun game, one in the chamber, and sometimes we even do some blackout custom games where we all drop into a map together. So if that's something that's interesting to you, you want to play some custom games with me, it'll be the first link down in the description, or you can just come over, check out the live stream, and hang out and chat. But guys, like I said, first link down in the description, and hopefully I see you there later tonight. And in fact, as you watch this video, as it goes up, I am live streaming right now. So like I said, first link down in the description. Hopefully I see you there. All right, without further ado, let me shut up. Let's get into the top 5 classes. We're going to start with the one that I think is probably the worst on this list, but I also think it's the most underrated on this list, and that is the KN57. Now, if you followed my channel since Black Ops 3, you would know that my favorite weapon in Black Ops 3 was the KN44. Now, the KN57 I don't think is as good as the KN44 in Black Ops 3, but with the most recent buff to this weapon, it actually has one of the fastest time to kills at close range, faster than SMGs, faster than the Maddox, and that makes it a really good gun on close quarters maps, especially if you're super accurate. On top of that, when you implement the attachments that are available for this weapon, it gets even better. So what I am using here, and on pretty much every single class, you're going to see the same stim shot and perks. So I use Engineer, Gung Ho, and then if I use a third perk, I use Dead Silence, but it kind of depends on how many attachments I want to use. As far as attachments go, I use Rapid Fire to make that time to kill even faster. I use Grip just because I find at long range, the KN57 has a little bit more recoil than I'd like. Hybrid Mags to make it so that I can play super aggressive with this, and Stock to make it so I can strafe fire. With this class, you do incredibly good up close because, like I said, the time to kill is already one of the fastest up close. On top of that, with Stock and Hybrid Mags, you can play super aggressive with this weapon. Now, at the same time, there are some downsides to this weapon, and it's basically the fact that certain attachments are not available for this weapon, one of which is FMJ. So if you're running up against a squad who is all using body armor, you're going to run into some troubles with this weapon. On top of that, there is no high caliber available for this weapon, so a weapon like the Rampart with 2 high calibers is going to often be able to outgun this weapon just based off of its attachments. Now, the situations I like to use this weapon in are situations where I would generally use an SMG, because like I said, this weapon does incredibly good at short to mid-range. Once you get into long range, weapons like the Auger, Titan are just going to totally mess you up, and that is why on a map like Lockup, like you're seeing here, or on a map like Summit or something like that, this weapon will really exceed in that situation. So if you haven't used the KN57 since the update and you're looking for a new weapon to try out and something new to use, this is definitely one that I recommend. But speaking of weapons that will outgun the KN57, the next weapon we are looking at here is once again another assault rifle, and it is the Rampart. This class is beastly. If you've never used it, you will absolutely destroy with this thing. And there's a couple of little secrets to it and a couple of little niches that you really need to key into that will really take it to the next level. So once again, rolling with the same attachments, the Engineer, the Gung Ho, the Dead Silence, the Stim Shot. You're going to see Stim Shot in every single one of my classes, as it just allows you to play more aggressive, use your healing more often, and make it so you can get into more gunfights, i.e. get more kills. Now, as far as attachments, the two must-use attachments are High Caliber 1 and High Caliber 2. This makes it so that you're going to deal more damage to the head and upper chest. In other words, reduce your bullets to kill by 1. In other words, reduce the time to kill, making it better than most of the other assault rifles. On top of that, the other thing that we are going to be using here is the Recon Scope for 2 reasons. First of all, I don't like the iron sights. Second of all, it actually reduces the recoil so that you don't have to use the grip on this weapon. And the third thing that I use is, once again, fast mags. The reason why this is so important is because I play aggressive. There are definitely other attachments that I would recommend using on this if you're not as aggressive as a player. For example, FMJ. But for the most part, I find that with High Caliber 1 and 2, you don't really need FMJ. You'll just shred through their armor. So the other thing I wanted to quickly talk about is the Recon Scope. So it does reduce recoil almost to the extent that grip does. So what this means is that you can actually use the Recon Scope instead of grip, and it frees up one of your attachment slots. On top of that, you don't have to use a wild card for an extra attachment. So if you're struggling with recoil on a weapon and the Recon Scope is available, give it a try. It might be worth it, and it might make your class that much better. Now, after this, my top 3 classes, these are my favorite in the game currently. One of them, I think, is super overpowered on small maps, and that would be this one here for the Mog. Now, this weapon got buffed in big ways in the past patch. Barrel Choke got buffed, and the Dragon's Breath got buffed. This means that this is a super viable weapon at close range. In fact, I do think it is the best shotgun. Maybe not the most annoying shotgun with the SG-12 with strobe light, but the best shotgun nonetheless. Also, I wouldn't be surprised to see this gun get a little bit nerfed going forward, as a lot of people are starting to use this gun and abuse it, and I think you're going to see it more and more as the meta of the game progresses. So the class we are looking at here is the Mog 12 with Long Barrel, Barrel Choke, Dragon's Breath, and then the normal class that we use on everything else, including Stim Shot, Engineer, Gung Ho, Dead Silence. So the one downside to this class is that with the Mog, you reload relatively slow. You add 1 bullet into the gun at a time. Now this can be overcome by adding fast mags to this class, and that makes it so you load 2 bullets at a time and makes it a little bit faster. However, I prefer to use more perks on this class as opposed to fast mags. Most of the time, this gun with these attachments is going to be a one-shot kill, which means even if I run into a room full of 4 people, wipe them all, I'm still probably going to be able to reload in peace. Of course, there are going to be those situations where that doesn't happen, but for the most part, I find that this is the best possible class. However, if you are getting rid of perks, I would get rid of Dead Silence and Engineer and keep Gung Ho. That's just what I think works the best with this class. But speaking of close quarters and speaking of underrated weapons, this is my favorite SMG in the game, the Daemon. So this is a DLC weapon, which of course is going to frustrate some people, but I think this gun is really underrated. It gets overshadowed by the Spitfire and the SOG, but quite honestly, I prefer the Daemon. As far as this class goes, the attachments that I use are High Cal 1, High Cal 2, Rapid Fire, those are the most important 3 in my opinion, and then Hybrid Mags, which is also incredibly important. I really don't see any better class with any other attachments, and I truly do think you need all 4. The reason is the High Cal 1 and 2 are going to decrease that time to kill. The Rapid Fire is going to decrease that time to kill even more. If you are getting rid of 1 attachments on this class, I would say 100% get rid of the Rapid Fire, as it makes the smallest difference compared to High Caliber. On top of that, you pretty much need hybrid mags with this class because you tear through ammo really quickly, and on top of that, the reload speed for this gun is relatively slow for a weapon that you're going to be getting into a lot of gunfights with. So really, I would stick strongly with these 4 attachments. Now, as far as perks go, I use Engineer and Gung Ho here. However, you do run out of ammo with this class relatively quick, so if you don't mind not using Engineer, I could definitely see replacing that with Scavenger. But this is absolutely one of my favorite classes and 100% my favorite SMG class. Now, there is one downside to this class, and it's a downside with a lot of the SMGs in this game, and it's the fact that there is no FMJ for this weapon, which means if you run into an entire team using body armor, they're probably gonna outgun you a lot of the time, especially at long range. So if you run into a team using a lot of body armor, this probably won't be the weapon to use. However, the weapon to use in that situation would be my number one weapon, my number one class. If you followed this channel for a long time, you should know this is coming. The Auger. This weapon got buffed huge in the most recent update, and my god, is this weapon good. Maybe hands down the best weapon in the game. Has one of the fastest time to kills, especially with the right attachments. So the attachments that I use are red dot, mainly because I don't like the iron sights. Then I use high cal 1, high cal 2, and FMJ. And all of those are pretty important. Once again, we're using the same perks, the same stim shot as before. Engineer, gung ho, dead silence, and stim shot. But the reason why I have all of the attachments on this weapon is, first of all, high cal 1, high cal 2, 100% necessary. It makes it so that on a normal body, it's going to be a 2-shot kill to the upper chest and a 3-shot kill to the lower body, which is incredible. On top of that, with the most recent update, they actually buffed the rate of fire, which is absolutely insane. If you have a good trigger finger, you will dominate with this. Now, the controversial one on this weapon is the FMJ. Now, the reason is a lot of people like fast mags with this weapon. However, FMJ to me is a must. The reason being the fact that if you run into someone with body armor, it's going to make it so it's a 3 to 4 bullet kill, 3 to the upper body, 4 to the lower body. The reason why this is so important is because relatively the Auger has a slow fire rate compared to other weapons in the game. That one extra bullet to kill is going to affect this weapon a lot more than an extra bullet to kill for something like a SOG, Maddox, Rampart, Spitfire, something like that. So that FMJ to me is a really big deal. If you don't like running FMJ, just replace it with fast mags. Boom, you're done. Now, the big, massive question here is, do you use the operator mod, the double tap? And the answer to this is before the most recent buff, yes. After the most recent buff, God, no. With the most recent buff and the fire rate buff to the Auger, it is much more beneficial to not use the double tap, simply because the fire rate with this weapon without double tap is so damn good now. It is a much faster time to kill than if you have double tap. On top of that, if you miss just one bullet with the double tap, you're at a huge detriment. So a lot of people will say, use it, use it, use it. I say, God, no, don't use it. Work on that trigger finger. And if you have a somewhat decent trigger finger, if you make your girlfriend just a little bit happy with that, this class will absolutely dominate for you. Personally, it's my favorite class. But ladies and gentlemen, that is that. Those are my 5 favorite classes in the game. If I missed one of yours, feel free to let me know what your favorite classes are down in the comments below. Also, if you're new to the channel and like what you see, want to stay up to date on all my content, the best way to do so is make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you have notifications on, and as always, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more videos like this one, just hit that like button and it shows me that you enjoyed. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, guys, peace out.
We are